If you haven't heard about Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Lawful Stupid just jumped over. First of all, it's free, and we love that. Secondly, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, wherever you're at, all on the go. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. There are a lot of other vendors out there, a lot of platforms that they will make sure your podcast gets to. So it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with zero minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Last time on Lawful Stupid.
Oh god, I don't remember what happened last time on Lawful Stupid.
Last time on Lawful Stupid, it was a real bad time for the boys. And at the airing of this, you will have already heard Rowan making his pact with Wen. And our boy Kristoff, while frozen by Wen, has an adventure of his own.
Ooh. I'm alone, by the way. Anybody who doesn't know. I'm super alone right now. Just me and Dwayne. It's me and Dwayne versus the world.
That's right. We're doing more of these character spotlights because I think they're going to dive deep into our heroes, and I like that. And that makes me real happy.
I have no boys with me.
It's dangerous. Dangerous world.
I usually have Rowan here to hold my hand. We play together in the same room, for those who don't know. In our hearts, anyway. And he gets me through it. But today, I have no safety net.
You're in my world.
I'm in your world now.
And so, Kristoff, the last thing you remember seeing is the sight of these two monstrosities towering over Atlas, who is doing his best to hold Chiringa from plummeting to his death. And then it all just stops. Your world freezes. And it all goes black. You feel like you lose consciousness. And for a brief moment, you feel like you're floating in the darkness. And you close your eyes as if to drift off to a sleep. But instead, you find yourself sitting in a chair. In front of a table. In a warm hearth. Hearthy? Is hearthy? Hearth is now a verb?
Lit?
No, hearthy. That's my own word. It's a hearthy room.
It's an adjective.
It's
hearth-like in nature.
Yes, it's that's true. I'm gonna make hearth a verb, an adjective. It's gonna be flexible.
Lawful Stupid fans, I need you to write both Merriam and Webster.
That's right. And just when you're doing that, just put a PS about the last time we needed this as well.
Hey, indenturement, we still follow up on that. Indenturement, follow up on that also. Hearth as every type of word.
Yep, perfect. And so you're in this room. There's a fire. It's warm. The floor is made of cobblestone. And there's a window. And it's looking out into the night. And across from you sits Magister Trestle. And he's staring at a board. A wooden chessboard with wooden chess pieces. And you guys have been playing. And he looks up to you and says, Kristoff, it's your turn.
Yes, of course. And I kind of take a look at the board and I reassess myself with the position of the pieces, and I think it almost like comes back to me, the game in progress. I'm like, oh yes, of course. And I continue with my strategy that I was working against him.
And as you move your piece across the board, the Magister eyes you very carefully as you do so. And he says, Kristoff, you haven't been here long, but we never really talked about where you came from.
Of course, I come from the land of silence. Thought you knew that.
I mean, we talked about that, but in name only. We never really talked about what that means. For example, in Yuri, I know how they rule. I know what they value, and I know what they do. I know what drives them. I have no idea what it's like in the land of silence.
Well, not too many years ago, it was the most wonderful place you can imagine. I mean, we had our problems, as anyone does, but it was a fair place where a man, usually a tiefling man or woman, with nothing but ambition alone, could seek out and forge whatever destiny, whatever life they wanted for themselves. And that was all thanks to my father and his father before him. On and on it went.
Would you have considered your father a good leader?
He was the best. No ruler was ever so attached to his people. No person in a position of authority ever had such deep and unending love for both his country and the people who inhabited it. I wish you would have met him.
But is that what makes a good leader, Kristoff? Somebody in love with their people, or somebody who is looking out for the future of their people?
Well, I think it's paramount in both regards, but I think that when you have that true love for your people, you're always going to act in their best interest from now and, for the future as well.
I would agree with you, but just leading Oxbane, what if you had to choose between the town and a few people of the town? What does it mean to be a good leader there?
Well, my father likely wouldn't agree, but I'm a pragmatic man, and I think the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. You would have to make the least possible sacrifice in order to continue the prosperity of all.
And the Magister picks up a piece and moves it forward on the board and says, I thought the same way, and it's why I worry that just loving your people isn't good enough.
If you don't have that love for your people, and I think Kristoff moves the piece slightly forward, if you don't have that love for your people, then everything you do, there's going to be an ulterior motive. There's going to be something in the back of your mind that is going to inadvertently, inevitably, hurt the people you're charged to protect.
And the Magister moves a piece and says, I don't disagree with you. I think it's necessary for a good leader to love their people, but I just can't see that being the primary factor. There's too many things, too many hard decisions.
Yes, there are hard decisions, but we can make those decisions much simpler if we take them down to the basis elements. I mean, listen, there's no leader that hasn't lost sleep over the decisions they made out of the lives that they've inadvertently ended. But you sleep a bit more soundly when you know that you truly did your best for your people.
And he looks up at you and he says, Kristoff, what decisions have you made that you've lost sleep over? And when you say that, or when he says that, the room changes. It swirls and it shifts almost imperceptibly to Kristoff. And now you're no longer in a cottage, rustic style room. You're in a lavish room. It's filled with gold trimmings and silver trinkets, and you're sitting at a beautiful table. And instead of a wooden board, it's more of a stone marble board with pieces carved of wood from your homeland, trees native only to silence. And across from you sits Pallas, your brother. His strong jaw, but thin face, and a much lighter skinned tiefling compared to you or your father. And a game that you were winning against the Magister, you're now losing, and you feel like you're not even sure what the rules to this game you're playing are. And he says to you, "Are you going to make a move, or what?"
Kind of shake my head and rub my temple. Yes, it's my move.
It's not a surprise that Father puts me in charge, if that's how you're going to be playing a game, brother.
Father puts you in charge of nothing, Palace.
I feel like he puts me in charge of everything.
No, you usurped me. You're a usurper.
Brother, these delusions, they're not healthy. You should take more of your medicine. And move your piece. I don't have all day.
Kristoff kind of just, I think, moves in peace. I think that he's not really sure what's going on. And he just picks a piece and moves. Maybe not even the way the piece moves.
Well, so you move this piece, and Palace sneers. And he says, "You can't win if you don't move the right pieces, brother." And he shifts the piece back. You can't do that.
Yes, of course. Court rules. I pick up another piece and move.
Yeah. And he says, "Kristoff, if you're going to stay in the courts, you're going to need to get on board with the way the regime's going. We're going to have to make some hard decisions, brother."
Like what?
We don't have enough food for everyone outside of the walls. Not right now, anyways.
Brother, we just had a huge feast for those ambassadors from Yori. I mean, it was lavish. Half of it went to waste.
That kind of proves my point. We don't have as much food as we should have to do something like that. But the value outweighs itself. Having a relationship with Yuri could prove quite profitable for the kingdom.
The thing that profits our kingdom is when people can sweat and bleed and toil for it. When people are capable of working, and they can't do that if we don't have food. We must ration, brother. You know this.
Oh, they will bleed and sweat for the kingdom, brother. They just may have to do it with emptier bellies while we get things back in order. And as he says this, he takes a swig of wine and eats some fresh grapes.
Palace, this isn't you. We grew up together. You always cared for the people, the servant, the gardener. We always took care of our own. It's the same thing with our kingdom now, brother. We're adults. And look at you. You're eating grapes. You're drinking fine wine.
It's the luxuries of royalty, brother. You must understand. It's our people would be nothing without us. So we must keep strong minds and wet lips in order to make the right decisions.
No, that's not what Father taught us. If someone should go hungry, we should go hungry first. We must suffer for our people. If there's a shortage, then we suffer just as badly as they do. We are not common men. But that's exactly why we must hold ourselves to a higher standard.
And as you say that, he moves a piece across the board quite aggressively, and he says, I don't think Father knew quite as much as he let on, brother. That's probably why he's no longer with us.
I just move a piece, right? I mean, whatever piece he just moved, I'm taking. I don't care what the better strategy is beyond that. I'm just like aggressively taking that piece. Brother, Father was the greatest ruler we've seen in silence in our, albeit short history. How can you say these things about him?
It probably has a lot to do with what I know now, being king. And he taps this simple band around his head, the very traditional crown of silence made of simple ivory. And he says, "Heavy as the head that wears the crown, brother. I've been read in on much more than you can imagine. Father kept us going, but he failed to grab some more precious apples, which could have led our kingdom to be a power on Goron."
Why are you wearing the crown? Father, he's dead. Father's dead, and I'm the firstborn son. I shouldn't.
Brother, don't stress yourself. You really should take more medicine. You're getting upset again.
Do I see like a vial of medicine?
You just have like a drink next to you.
Okay. I don't feel well. That's true. I feel very. I think I reach for a drink it.
And he smiles, and I think this is the widest you've seen him smile since you guys were playing. And he makes another aggressive move, and you end up losing 2 pieces in this game right then in one move. And he says, "That's better. Just relax. It's going to be fine, brother."
Yes, of course.
And as you say that, as you give in to Palace's trickery, the room shifts again. And while it's the same room, it's less lavish. It's still nice and it's royal, and you're playing on the same board, but the wooden pieces you were playing with are newer looking, and you see across from you your father, and the pieces on the board have changed. You're no longer in this devastatingly poor position. You and your father have been playing a game, and you have found yourself about even halfway through the game. And your father looks at you and says, "Kristoff, is everything all right?"
Father, and I think I touched my face. I didn't realize. I don't know why I'm crying.
And he smiles and he says, "There's nothing to be ashamed about crying, boy."
I just don't know what came over. We were playing a game. It's my move, right?
Yes.
Okay. Try this on for silence. I move a piece.
And so as you move, he takes a drink from this silver goblet, and when you look at him do that, you see a reflection. And you see a Kristoff a decade younger than the Kristoff you're used to seeing. And when he sets it back down, he smiles and says, "That's a good move. You're learning from your old..." Yes. Kristoff, it won't be long. It will be a shorter time than you know. And he kind of adjusts his collar and says, before it's you wearing this crown, leading our people, what will you do?
I don't know about all that. You've got quite a few good years left, and you can't just abdicate and leave me with your messes.
And when you say that, he frowns. And he begins to gray and get frail. And your memories of the dethroning return full force. And he looks at you with these sunken eyes and says, you left.
I was exiled. Palace! He did this. I was never sick. You were the one who was sick, and he took advantage of that.
You left and never went back.
What could I have done? He turned the people against me, the very lifeblood of our kingdom. Sided with him. He said horrible things about Mother, and...
What did I always tell you about our people, boy? That we love them, even when they won't love us back.
You weren't there. I didn't know what to do, and you weren't there. And the whole world came crashing. Everything that I knew was taken from me.
And he looks down at the board and he says, we played this game time and time again, and we talked of policy and foreign powers and diplomacy. I spent my time training you, not your brother. And you walked away. You betrayed your country, Kristoff.
My country betrayed me!
And he kind of, he turns his head to the left and kind of backs down from that. And then he returns and says, but what does that say about you? What does that say about your love? That their betrayal is enough to waver it. Do you think I care about this country so little that them betraying me is enough for me not to love them?
But what about your son? You've got enough love in your heart for every person in silence, but when they turn their back on me, your son... I don't have as much love as you, Father. I never did. No man did. Or ever will again.
There are great people in this world. In Goron, I've met a great many of them. And your heart is greater than you know. You will meet people, and hopefully you will come home. Treachery on your end or ours. I don't think it matters, Kristoff.
I don't know if I can.
Then I don't know if you should. And when he says that, the room swirls again. And this lavish room, the walls fall away. And the marble floor is dirt. And the table you sit at is a dark, rotted wood. And the chessboard, or the game board, is that table with crude chalk drawn on it. And your pieces are rocks and stones and pebbles. And on the opposite side of you sits a figure in a dark, woven cloak and a silver dragon's mask. And it says to you, "Are you going to make a move or not?"
Oh, of course it's you. Here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The subject of all my woes. You, whatever, dragon? This is how you come before me? My ancestor? You show up now?
Still blaming other people, Kristoff. Blaming other people. Your ancestors, your family, your people. When will you start taking responsibility for your own actions and your own circumstances?
If it weren't for you, Palace wouldn't have been able to turn my people against me. These damn scales! Because I look a little different because they still cling to their infernal heritage, even though we've a civilized people, we've moved on from that. Because, of course, I'm the Silver Serpent of Silence. Of course, I must be evil. I must practice dark magics because, what, I've born a little innate ice talent? That means you can call my mother a whore? That means you can cast my father out of his throne? That means you can take what's rightfully mine?
Kristoff, I can't begin to tell you how wrong you are for blaming anyone but yourself. Your father's choices were not yours. Your mother's choices were not yours. But that does not give you the right to blame everyone else and do nothing about it.
I think it's your move.
And he looks down at these pieces and he picks a pebble and he moves it on the board. And you guys go back and forth a few moves until you both have your larger rocks and a small pebble on each side of the board. And the Silver Dragon Mask moves the small pebble in range of yours and says, "You're an adult now. While young for your species, I believe it's time you stop acting like a child."
I don't know what you can possibly mean. I am out here doing everything I can to help people in need. Maybe not the people of Silence, but the people of Oxbane, people of Yori. They need someone too.
Were you helping them when you decided to stay in Yori to enjoy that lavish town?
I wasn't there to enjoy spoils. I wasn't there drinking every night like I've been doing for the last year. I was in there trying to learn something, trying to become better, trying to figure out what I can do to build in this world instead of tearing things down.
You can mask your avarice with the rest of the world, but we both know you wanted that artifact.
Of course I wanted the artifact. Of course I did.
And you let that avarice cloud your judgment, and you decide to stay longer. And who suffers? The very people of Oxbane you swear you're for?
I didn't know. How could I have known?
And he looks at this board that you guys have been playing, and he says, "I don't think you'll know anything if you keep blaming other people. And you keep forcing this idea that you had no other choice, or that you could not have known, that you could not have done something different."
I'm doing something now. I'm risking my life. I'm in some damn cave right now. I'm probably about to die.
And the...
Oh, Have I died already? Is this what this is hell, right?
The figure across from you pulls off the mask and reveals an older Kristoff. And this you across the board says, "Oh no, no, no. We've been to hell already. It's much worse. But I can guarantee you, if you keep acting like you are now, I may never exist."
So what do I do then? What do we do then?
And he thinks for a moment as you make your move. He says, "You know, I've always hated time travel.
It smells horrible.
So I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I just know that if you continue on not taking some personal responsibility in this world, we won't last, and silence won't last."
Silence. I can't give up on it. It's my home. But I can't do any good anywhere else if I'm always dwelling on the past.
What was it that Father always told us?
To love the people.
He didn't just mean the people of silence.
But it's my home.
I know. And it's a home that you should return to. But I'm afraid our time as lords there, I believe that's at an end. But that doesn't mean they should suffer.
I look at the board, and we've kind of been going back and forth, I think. Kind of both playing a more defensive game. Not really, I mean, it's limited moves, not really any way to move forward. But I move my pawn forward and threaten his king, and in doing so, sacrifice my own.
And as he makes the move against your king, leaving a pawn on the board alone, he looks at you and he smiles and he says, "I believe there's hope for us yet." And he fades away. And this world around you that has been a bleak, barren world, you see on the board by the pawn a crack form, and a small green tendril begin to grow. And at the end of that tendril, a small leaf forms.
I observe it.
And you feel this overwhelming sense of calm.
I reach out and touch it.
When you do this, all these memories, the Magister, Palace, your father, and you, they all come slamming back all at once, as if reliving it. And you see this pawn and these two broken king pieces, these rocks that are now rubble that represented your kings. And I think from this point, Kristoff understands what he's supposed to do.
It's true. I do. Yeah.
as that enlightenment, that thought, this experience, this change in his world occurs, it shakes him. And the world,
in order to destroy the enemy king, I have to give up my own crown. And only in doing so will I be able to spare the pawn.
the world around you begins to fade, and as it's doing so and you're falling backwards, you see this image of Atlas and Rowan in the distance, and they're waving you over, and you feel compelled to run, but your legs don't move, and you see a copy of yourself heading towards them, and he has in his hand a simple ivory band, and he looks at his friends, and he looks back, and he throws the band down and runs to join Atlas and Rowan. And that's where we're gonna end this episode.
I got goosebumps.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Oof. Those are much harder episodes to play, listeners, because they're very serious. That's not our default at all, but
No,
I absolutely love everything about it.
dude, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, we hope you enjoy these. We really want to hear feedback on them because we're putting a lot of heart and soul in these episodes. And I know that both Rowan and Atlas and Kristoff are putting a lot of thought and a lot of heart in these.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I've put in so much of myself. I've put so much of myself into this particular episode that if you don't like it, just don't tell me. Right? It's bonus content. It's not a regular release. If you don't like it, just skip it. If you do like it, tell me. But if you don't, just like keep it to yourself, please. It'll hurt me. It'll hurt me in my heart.
Super deep.
I can't. If somebody's like 2 stars, fucking noob, I will not be able to show my face.
Give me more Atlas.
No, that's what the people want.
That's what the people
Give it to
want.
'em.
Yeah, so hey, thanks for listening, and we really hope you like these bonus episodes. We also want to say that if you're not in our Discord, you absolutely should be. It's amazing.
If you're listening to this right now and you go to our website, lawfulstupid.org, and you click the little button that I made, and it says join us on Discord, if you click that button, I'm there waiting for you with an imaginary free drink in hand. Like, hey, welcome to the club. I'm like, right now, Jacob, listening? Go click it right now and I'll be there. Whisper my name and I shall be there.
Yeah, it's great. We're working on some other ideas about Atlas's mom and doing a book of recipes. Shane is running a campaign with listeners.
Yeah, we're just in there having a great time playing D&D. We've played 2 games so far in the last week. So whenever I'm bored and the boys can't play with me, I'll be like, hey guys, who wants to play D&D in Shane's campaign world? And you can do that. And it's super fun.
It's really great because it's really helped our fans really become the babysitter for Shane. And it's really helped us as a group.
Takes the load off
it does.
Dwayne and Alex and Devin, because they don't have to keep up my coin. Like, okay guys, but seriously, what if you did a brute fighter and then you took the tavern brawler fee and then you hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker? No, we gotta test it out right now. Come on, play with me.
Yeah, no, it's good. So yeah, go to our website and join our Discord for us.
Do it.
And also, we don't tag this one enough. You should, if you liked us, please rate us on iTunes. That does wonders for us for some reason.
Super. And if you're not on iTunes, I don't have an iPad device and I can't get on iTunes, that's fine. Whatever you're listening to this on, rate us on that, or leave a comment, or if any interaction you have with the actual podcast thing you listen to itself puts us higher in at least those guys list directory. Is that right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, when you
Rankings,
Google Dungeons and Dragons,
search
you search Dungeons and Dragons, instead of being 58th down, which we are, will be 4th down, and that will help expose new fans, and it helps us out, and we get to share it with more people, and that's good.
It's great. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys. I think that's enough. We're just going to say bye.
Goodbye.
We are storytellers.
We are creators.
We are gamers.
We are dreamers.
We are players.
We are players.
We are players.
We are DMs.
We are nerdsmith.